Have you ever felt like you're doing all the right things? You're trying to eat better, you're trying to move your body, you're trying to be more consistent, but you still feel like something's missing? Maybe the scale keeps going up and down. Maybe you start strong and then life gets busy. Maybe you feel like you know what to do, but you struggle to actually make it part of your life. Today, we're going to talk about why lasting health is not built on one diet, one workout plan, or one burst of motivation. It's built on the foundations that support everything else. The way you understand your body, the systems you create, the way you train, the way you fuel your body, and the way you build health that lasts for you and the people you love. Because health was never supposed to be confusing. It was designed to be simple. So grab a coffee and your notebook and get ready to take some notes, my friends. Now, before we jump into today's episode, I want to share something exciting with you. On September 9th, I am hosting a free live training called the Firm Foundations Masterclass. This training is all about helping you understand the foundations that create real, lasting health. We're going to talk about the pieces that most people overlook: how to build strength, how to create sustainable nutrition habits, how to understand your body instead of constantly fighting against it, how to stop feeling stuck and start building a healthier future. Because I believe so many people are searching for answers, but they're missing the foundation. And that's why I created this training. If you want to join us, you can send me a message on any of my platforms and I'll send you your registration information. I'll also put the link in the show notes so you can save your spot. And if you want to start building those foundations right now, you can also go through my free Move Mountains method. And when you join that training, you'll also be added to my email list so that when everything comes out with the Firm Foundations Masterclass, you'll be first to be notified. All right, my friends, let's get into today's episode. Why you can't lose weight and keep it off. Now, I'm going to start by saying something that might sound pretty simple, but it's something I see over and over again. People are trying to change the outcome without building the foundation. They want weight loss. They want more energy. They want to feel confident, but they're skipping the steps that actually create those results. And it's like trying to build a house without pouring the foundation first. Eventually, something is going to crack. The same thing happens with our health. If we only focus on the scale, we miss the bigger picture. Because your health is not just a number. Your health is your strength, it's your energy, your ability to show up for your family, your ability to live the life God has called you to live. And so today, I want to walk you through the foundations that I believe most people are missing. So foundation 1, we need to stop chasing weight and start building health. The first thing that we really need to dial in on is the way we think about health. A lot of people start their journey with one goal. I just need to lose weight. But weight loss by itself, in my opinion, should not just be the only goal. The goal should be becoming healthier. Because if you lose weight but lose your strength, or if you lose weight but feel exhausted, or if you lose weight but hate the process, it's not a foundation you can maintain. And we have to start asking better questions. So instead of, how do I lose 20 pounds? Ask, how do I become the person who naturally maintains a healthy body? That, my friends, that changes everything, because now we're focused on building habits. Now we're focused on becoming stronger. Now we're focused on creating a lifestyle. So a practical step you can take today, I want you to write down what health actually means to you. And not what Instagram says, or this one person that said these things, not what the scale says. What does health allow you to do? Does it allow you to play with your kids? Serve your family? Enjoy your life? That right there, my friends, that's the foundation. Foundation 2, we're going to build muscle before you try to burn more calories. Now, this is one I talk about all the time because I truly think it's important. Especially as we get older, my friends. Most people are focused on burning calories. More cardio, more steps, more time on the treadmill, cutting calories. But we need to understand something. Muscle is the most valuable thing we can build. Starting around our 30s, we naturally begin to lose muscle mass if we do not actively work to maintain it. And research shows adults can lose approximately 3 to 8% of muscle mass per decade after age 30, with the rate increasing as we get older. That's going to affect your strength. That will affect your metabolism, your balance, your independence, your ability to do everyday things. That's why strength training matters. Well, women often tell me, I don't want to lift heavy because I don't want to get bulky. But I've shared this many times before, guys. Building muscle takes intentional effort. You don't just roll out of bed and all of a sudden you're super bulky and built. It doesn't work that way. Strength training is not going to accidentally make you look like a bodybuilder. But what it will do is it's going to help you become stronger and more capable and more confident. And another thing I hear from so many people is when I started training for strength, I actually started liking my body again. If you go back and listen to the episode I did with Kelly last week, that's the one thing she shared as we did this work together. She's like, man, I didn't realize I loved lifting heavy the way that I did. And I started to actually like my body more. You know, when you start training for strength, you stop seeing your body as something to fix. And you start seeing it as something that you're building. So here's your practical step. If strength training is not currently part of your week, make that your first goal. Start with 2 or 3 days. Focus on getting stronger over time. You cannot skip this step. This is a non-negotiable, 100%. You will hear me talk about this all the time on this podcast. Foundation 3, we need to feed the goal. So we've really got to figure out our nutrition. But I want to change the way we think about nutrition. Nutrition is not punishment. And food is not something we have to fear. God created it for a reason. We need it. And from the very beginning, we see food as part of creation. He gave it to us for nourishment, foods that fuel us, foods that help us live. But somewhere along the way, we became disconnected from that and we started chasing convenience. And like I said, guys, like life is busy. We need convenience. We do. We are busy. We have people, we have kids, we have responsibilities, we have traffic. You know, all of those things I don't think are God's design for us. However, working hard, taking care of your family, taking care of your home, all of those things are definitely talked about in the Bible. And when we think about being that busy, you know, remember that convenience store is called a convenience store for a reason. But we have to always keep asking ourselves, is this convenient for my health? Just remember, the easiest choice today creates a harder tomorrow. And so we're going to pay for it at some point. So why don't we stop doing that to ourselves now? And we need to just simplify nutrition. And some people say, oh yeah, you make it sound so easy. It's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm saying that we need to simplify it and plan and prepare. Because if we have time to watch Netflix at night for an hour or two, then you have time to meal prep. It's just a matter of prioritizing your time or asking for support or having someone help you, right? And so we know we need to at least have our proteins prepared. We know that that is the thing that supports our muscle growth. We're losing muscle because we don't use it. So then we have to train it to build it, but we need to supply the right nutrients for it to actually do what it needs to do. And remember that protein's going to help you with recovery and it's going to help you feel fuller. It will help you decrease your cravings. So remember, guys, we need to just make sure we have that extra protein available. We got to make sure we build our meals around our goal. We need to understand portion sizes, but we don't need to obsess over numbers. We just need to create awareness. Once you have that understanding of how food really works, that gives you freedom. And you start to realize, oh man, when I do these other things, I actually feel pretty terrible. I just got back from vacation and it was amazing. And when I travel, I bring things, I prepare stuff to have it with me because the convenience of the airport doesn't really elicit the healthiest of options, the stuff that makes me feel good. So I bring it with me. I prepare ahead of time. And then sometimes we prepare ahead of time and then we get to the airport and then we look at each other and we're like, did you grab it from the fridge? Nope. Did you? No, I did not. And then you pivot. But because we already have these, habits built and understanding and awareness around how that food makes us feel, we can make better choices in that setting. And then you can just have some fun too. And it doesn't have to be super boxy and super stressful. But when you start to feel really good, you start to realize, like, honestly, some of this stuff just makes me feel terrible, and I don't want to feel terrible. God doesn't want me to feel terrible. So why am I going to keep doing that to myself? But we need to be able to have an opportunity to make these informed choices. We have to be able to enjoy meals out. We have to be able to celebrate because we still need to live life. So just ask yourself, what is my protein source? And then build the rest of your meal around that. And I always have to sidebar and say, a lot of people will say, what about fats? What about carbs? I'm like, just start with the protein because you're just not going to get it naturally. And then the other stuff you can add in. Most people that I work with, especially the ones that have autoimmune, diabetes, blood disorders, issues within their organs, most of them do better on a lower carb, higher fat for healing the organs. And then I teach them how their body can actually metabolize a bit more efficiently as we move through the program. So our foundation 4, we're going to create systems, not short-term motivation. Guys, how many times you got to hear it? Motivation is fleeting. It is not there all the time. So we need to really build consistency. Motivation is not a strategy. It's great when it shows up, but what happens when life gets hard? What happens when the kids are busy? When work gets stressful? When you don't feel like doing it? That's where your systems matter. And I'll give you an example in my own life. I did a couple workouts while I was away because there's a gym in the town that I'm from that I've gone to many times. So it's easy for me. I get up, nobody else is up. I'm just going to go to the gym. And, it's one of those gyms that's like iron and metal in there, and it's just like a manly gym. But I still show up and I don't care because I know how to use the equipment. And I feel comfortable in a setting like that. And I know not everybody else does. And then with over traveling, so I did that on the Thursday and the Friday. And then the Saturday, went for a nice walk and then went to the beach, as a family. So I got a lot of activity in that way. And then my husband and I got up before everybody else and we went for this 7K hike. It was beautiful. And it was such a beautiful way to start the day. And, I normally have my Sunday morning walk with the Lord. So, my body just really wants to do that now because I've been doing it for so long. And then Monday was a travel day. So a lot of sitting, and at the airport, I try to move around as much as I can. I know I'm going to sit on a plane. I know I'm going to sit in a car. I know there's a lot of sitting involved. So wherever I go, I just try to either park further or walk more, just so I don't feel the tightness in my hips, or I don't feel so stationary. But we got home and I was just like, I'm done. I'm exhausted. And I laid on the couch. It was great. I needed that. So my plan was to get up the next morning and go to the gym. But we had a bit of a situation where I couldn't leave the house and I was needed. And that was okay. But getting to the gym this morning, it was harder because it's, my body's had way more food than it normally does. I don't feel as energetic as I normally do. I'm still trying to get all my groceries back into the house and meal prep and all that stuff. And I got to the gym, and even on my first set, I was like, oh man, I'm tired. I'm yawning. I don't normally yawn when I get to the gym. And then also it felt a little bit heavy, but I was like, okay, I can do this. And I pushed through, and within 15 minutes, bam, it was back. And so that's all we have to do when we build these systems and we get back to it. It just makes these choices way easier. And then your body remembers, oh yeah, I like to feel good. Let's do more of this. And so your systems matter. Planning matters. If you think that you can get by without planning, you are being fooled. At no point have I ever been able to work with anyone and they succeed without having a plan. God has a plan for your life. That's the thing that's going to help you succeed. There's plans and purposes for everything that God has called in our lives. And there's things that we need to plan in order to be well. Because like I always say, the world will make it convenient, and God never promised easy. And he wants you to use wisdom. You can have all the knowledge in the world, but it doesn't mean that it's being applied. So remember, guys, consistency is always going to beat perfection. You just need to be someone who keeps showing up. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to look at your week ahead. Where are the places you normally struggle? What are the foods that you struggle with? Can you create some space between you and that struggle? Can we plan your busy morning to be more effective? Can we plan your evenings to be the time that you get your walk in? What does that look like for you? What do your weekends look like? You have to look ahead. For my business, every Thursday, I have this system that I've built out. And I've had help with that. You're actually going to hear from the woman that I worked with very soon. And one of the things is on Thursday, it's weekly planning. And it takes me about 15 minutes to look ahead at what I have for the next week because, there's some shift working that happens with my husband. It depends if we're doing homeschooling or we've got things for the kids or something at church or something's come up. And so I always look and I plan everything out for the next week. And then we plan our meals for the next week. And then we plan, we know that our kids have to be at this certain place at this certain time. We have the schedules. Why can't we do that with our health? It's just as important to do it with your health as you do it in every other area of your life. So what system are you ready to create to support yourself in the areas that you struggle? So if you've been frustrated because you feel like you keep starting over, maybe the answer is not another diet. Maybe the answer is building the foundation, understanding your body, building strength, fueling your goal, creating systems that actually fit your life. Because health is not something you do for a few weeks, guys. We got to figure this out. Just like I always tell you guys about the protein, if you can finally, that you're going to always weigh around this certain amount. Let's say your goal is 150 pounds and you can roughly get 130 grams of protein every day. You never have to figure that out ever again in your life because you're always going to be around that weight if that's your healthy goal weight. This is something that we're doing for a lifetime. And just like Kelly said last week, it matters because it affects my family and my marriage and my kids, and my ability to serve. And this is your legacy. This is what we're giving to our kids. This is what we're giving to the people that we work with. Like for me, my senior youth girls, this is the legacy I want to leave for them. And so what do you want to leave? I want to remind you guys again about the Firm Foundations Masterclass. It's a live training with me and it's happening September 9th. So you get to get back into your routine. It's September 9th at 8 p.m. EST. Tried to make it so it's convenient for people that have kids. Get them to bed, do your thing, and then you can join in. If you want to join, you just got to message me or you can just click the link in the show notes and reserve your spot. You have to remember, you don't have to have everything figured out today. You just need to take a step, some step that's going to help you move forward. Heavenly Father, thank you for the gift of our bodies. Help us to stop seeing health as something complicated and help us to see it as stewardship. Give us wisdom to care for ourselves well. Give us discipline to build habits that honor you. Help us become stronger so we can serve the people you have placed in our lives. In your glorious name, Lord, we pray. Amen. All right, my friends, you know what to do. Keep building strength for generations. Thanks for tuning in to Strength for Generations. If this podcast encouraged you, it would be a blessing if you took a quick minute to leave a 5-star review. It helps more families hear this message and find hope for their health and faith journey. It lights me up to know this podcast is helping you. And if you feel led to share this episode, text it to a friend, post it to your stories, or send it to someone on your heart. God might use it to encourage someone who really needs it today. And don't forget to eat steaks, lift weights, love Jesus, and keep doing it His way.